Good morning. I'm Bob Kroll, President of the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, with members of my board. We're here this morning to announce Jeff Johnson for governor. He has the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis support. As Hennepin County Commissioner, Jeff was a proven leader of law enforcement. We don't have to guess where he stands on law and order, training, support for officer pay, and benefits. Jeff's assured me he will be supportive of benefits and retirement benefits for first responders, which is very important to us. We trust Jeff to put officer safety first, realizing that a one-size-fits-all is not good for law enforcement, allowing local law enforcement to delegate their enforcement needs rather than packaged and directed by politicians. Jeff has stood strongly against sanctuary city and state laws. We agree with Jeff that local law enforcement is not in the business of doing federal immigration work. However, we need to partner like any other mutual aid agreement that we have with our federal agencies to ensure public safety and remove the criminal element from cities, states, and the country. With that, I'll turn it over to Jeff. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for, sure, yep. Thank you all for being here, and thank you so much, all of you, for your support and your endorsement today. The endorsement of the Minneapolis Police Federation means a lot for me, and it means a lot for me to be able to stand up here with you guys today. And I will stand with you when I'm governor as well. When you run for governor, you get to talk to a lot of people. We've been traveling this state for, it's almost a year and a half now, have talked to literally tens of thousands of Minnesotans, and over time you start to hear certain things more than once. There's a theme that often develops. And one of those themes that we are hearing during this campaign, unfortunately, is our declining support for law enforcement in this state, and really for law and order in this state, both in Minnesota and around the country. We have done so much in the past few years to damage the profession of law enforcement that our young people no longer want to become peace officers in many cases. You can ask any of our training programs out there, they have seen a significant decline in enrollment, and that's a sad state of affairs, and I aim to turn that around as your governor. My opponent is a teacher, and he sometimes accuses me of denigrating the profession of teaching. I have never done that. I will never do that. I love our teachers. I sometimes disagree with leaders of their union, but I think we have tremendous teachers. But we need to have the same respect and admiration as we do with our teachers for the people who protect us and who serve us and who make sure we're safe and that our families are safe. We lost that somewhere along the way, and we need to get it back in this state. So what can a governor actually do with respect to that? First, and I think more important than anything else, it's an attitude and it's support. The men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe every single day need to know that we as leaders have their backs, and I will have your back. I will have the backs of every police officer and first responder in the state of Minnesota. It's also respecting them as employees by delivering the relevant and timely training through the post board, for example. You don't have to take my word for it. As a Hennepin County Commissioner, I've been a supporter of our Sheriff's Office. I've been chairman of our Public Safety Committee, as well as chairman of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Commission. And I've made sure that they have the resources needed to keep us safe. And just recently, as an example, we supported crisis intervention training in Hennepin County to make sure our deputies are trained to handle the growing challenges of mental health. As I've told Lieutenant Kroll, I want to also assure that all of our first responders, police, state patrol, fire, corrections, conservation officers, that your pay and your pensions will not be the target of budget cuts in the Johnson-Bergstrom administration. Keeping people safe is one of the most fundamental roles, one of the most important jobs of our government, and we'll make sure that those areas are properly funded and those who protect us are properly paid. A governor also chooses a commissioner of corrections, and it sets policy for our state prisons. And I've heard a lot from corrections officers recently. In fact, we were just at Faribault Prison this last week, and we heard from corrections officers there that policy changes that have been made within the corrections department by leaders of corrections make them less safe at work. I'll change those policies. This is just another example of the state getting off track in recent years, worrying more about the comfort of our prisoners than the safety of our corrections officers. I don't have to tell you how serious it's become. We all know it has become deadly serious. And we've unfortunately seen a rise in attacks on our corrections officers since that change has been made. Until this spring, inmates who assaulted a corrections officer lost privileges and faced 90 days in segregation. And now these same inmates serve a disciplinary sentence with a step-down behavioral program that allows them out earlier, in some cases much, much earlier, and we've seen the consequences of that. It's not working, and it's made our corrections officers less safe in the workplace. So those are some of the things that I will do as governor. I can also tell you a few things that I won't do as governor. I won't lash out at the police and an officer involved shooting hours after it happens like Mark Dayton did a few years ago. Why would you want to go out and risk your life every single shift if the state's top leaders don't afford you the presumption of innocence during a crisis? That was very damaging, and I can guarantee you it will not happen when I'm governor. I won't make Minnesota a sanctuary state, as Lieutenant Crowell already brought up. We need to empower local law enforcement to work with federal authorities to keep bad guys. I'm not talking about refugees, I'm not talking about immigrants, I'm talking about bad guys, criminals, to keep them off the street. And if we refuse to allow our local police to actually cooperate with the federal government, we're not going to get that done. And you won't see any signs or little stickers in the back seats of state patrol cars telling people who are here illegally that they don't have to cooperate with our police. Those are the kind of policies that make regular, everyday Minnesotans question what in the world is going on in their state government. And they make law enforcement shake their heads and in some cases feel unsupported, and we need to support them. So it's policy, yes, but it's more about attitude, in my opinion. It's more about support. Citizens expect order, they expect to be safe. We have lost track, and we can get it back. And I will change that as governor. And again, I greatly appreciate your endorsement today. Thank you for that. And we're happy to take questions if you have any.
Lieutenant Crowell, could you tell us just a little bit about the endorsement process? Is it done by a board? Is it done by your political action committee?
We do screenings, and it's our entire federation board, which is 10 members. The membership trusts our judgment with regard to endorsements. That's why they elect us. And we do screenings of candidates at various degrees depending on the position. For governor, Jeff came and screened with our entire board.
Did Walls come in?
He did not.
Was he invited?
Sure, yes.
Was it a close call at all for the board?
The DFL side is really not interested in having law enforcement support, is what we've gathered over the past couple of years. Doesn't bode well with a lot of the constituents. We learned that in the city council races in Minneapolis and then recently some statewide races.
Other questions?
How does an endorsement like this with just weeks to go give you that next step, help you out that next level?
Well, I think it helps a lot because this is a really important issue to people around the state of Minnesota. Safety and crime is something that matters to them. I think certainly the issue of whether we're a sanctuary state or not matters, and I think that a lot of people look to our law enforcement to find out what it is that we need to do to make sure we're safe in this state. So their opinion on this, it helps a lot, and it's an honor.
Commissioner, can I ask you a question on a slightly different topic?
Sure.
Last week there was a reporting of an attorney general candidate talking about applying a political litmus test to otherwise non-partisan type offices. Can you give us your sense of if you're elected? I understand commissioners and I understand senior staff are going to be people who report directly to you, but is there a litmus test down the organizational chart?
No, the only test will be whether the people in government understand that their job is to serve the taxpayers. Because we do have we have, I would say, a vast majority of our state employees are wonderful. They're doing important work and they're doing it well. We also have an element in some of our agencies that don't understand their job is to serve the taxpayers. They think their job is to direct or control the taxpayers. In some cases, they believe they don't have to listen to the legislature or the governor because they'll outlast them. So those people, over time, I think we're gonna allow them to change the way they do things, and if they refuse to do that, then maybe someone else should be in that position. But a political litmus test, absolutely not. Obviously, we'll pick new commissioners, but within the rank and file, again, most of them are wonderful, and those that aren't, we'll replace eventually. Any other questions? All right, great, thank you guys, thanks for coming out, we appreciate it.